Steve Harley and Cockney Rebel. Good afternoon. Welcome to the programme. You may want to stand up for this. In fact, you probably should. I feel embarrassed cutting into it. What's wrong with God Save the Queen? A bid to ditch God Save the Queen as the anthem sung by England sports teams is being debated in Parliament. A Labour MP is calling for England fans to have their own national anthem, but I've got to tell you, the idea has not gone down that well with rugby bosses. They've indicated they would oppose the bill. Well, let's talk to Toby Perkins, who's put forward the private members bill. Toby, good afternoon to you.
Hi, good afternoon.
Well, what's your reasoning here?
The reasoning very simply is we are the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. God Save the Queen is the national anthem of the United Kingdom, and I want it to remain so. But the United Kingdom is made up of four separate component nations. Wales and Scotland already sing their own national anthem. And I think that we need to recognise that England and Britain are different things. And one of the ways that you do that, just as if you went to an England match, the football, they'd all be there with the flag of St George now. 30 years ago, they'd all have the Union Jack. And we are recognising that England and Britain are different things. And if we're going to play as England, we should sing as England.
But, Tim, I mean, the Welsh have Land of Our Fathers and the Scots sing Flower of Scotland. But when we sing God Save the Queen, doesn't that encompass everything?
Well, it does.
Trumps everything.
What it says is that we think England and Britain are the same thing, and Scotland and Wales don't. I think for many English people, they recognise that their Englishness and their Britishness are different things. And I think there has been, historically, a sense that they're the same thing. I think that has very much moved on now. And I think as we enter this sort of era of a more devolved nation and a recognition of the component parts of the United Kingdom, then we need to celebrate our Englishness.
Of course, but as you say, as we head into more of a devolved country, isn't the fact that we can sing God Save the Queen at major sporting events still bind us together just about?
Well, I don't think it does, because we're going to have the European Championships this summer, and I will bet you £1 to a penny that the Welsh fans are booing throughout God Save the Queen, which
they wouldn't dare. They wouldn't dare, Toby Perkins, would they?
Well, I bet you they do, and that's because it's seen as England, and it's seen as England believing that Britain is the same thing. So I think that for us to sing God Save the Queen when our athletes win medals at the Olympic Games, or a Scotsman leads us to Davis glory, is a very, very much a unifying thing. But for us to sing God Save the Queen when what we mean is England, not Britain, isn't. And I think it's time for us to at least have the conversation and ask the people of England what they think.
So would Jerusalem...
Whether it's time for England to have its own national anthem.
Would Jerusalem be the alternative?
That would be my personal choice, but I mean, others have suggested Land of Hope and Glory. They'll always be in England. I vow to thee, my country. I think that we're pretty well spoilt in this country for things that represent our Englishness, but also stir us to great glory. And so it would be. I think it would be a good idea for us to at least have the discussion, the debate, and see what the people of England think.
But if we ditch God Save the Queen, do we then not have to come up with a brand new alternative that is all-encompassing?
Well, I mean,
for all communities.
You can never please all people, and I think the best you can do in these scenarios is try and come up with something that most represents the majority of people. I would quite like to see a television programme that sort of laid out maybe three or four modern alternatives, three or four traditional alternatives, maybe one or two more modern ones, and let the public maybe have a telephone vote and see what comes across most strongly. But there was an opinion polling on this that YouGov did, and only 25% of people chose God Save the Queen as what best represented England. I think Land of Hope and Glory was the number one choice on that occasion. Jerusalem was the number one choice when the Commonwealth Games of England group ran a poll, and indeed that's what the Commonwealth Games team now receive their medals under.
Are you disappointed, Toby, that the Rugby Football Union has indicated that it was happy with the status quo? I mean, they're not going to change.
I mean, I was frustrated that without any attempt to sort of have spoken to anyone about it, they said that there's no demand for it. Now, I don't know how they've come to that conclusion. I think that since I first mooted this at the start of January, there's been a huge amount of interest in it. And all the opinion polling, whether it be the YouGov poll, the Sky News poll that was done at the time, the Daily Mirror poll, has suggested that the majority of people are in favour of it. So for the RFU to sort of say, well, we don't need to speak to the people to know that no one's interested, I think is mistaken. But they'll be getting a phone call from me in very short order, and they'll have an opportunity to justify on what basis they know no one's interested in this.
Toby, as important as this clearly is, how do you respond to some people who might think, hang on a minute, we've got death, destruction going on all over the planet. Yeah. Surely MPs have got better things to do on a Friday afternoon.
Well, MPs have got other things to do, and over the course of a parliamentary week or parliamentary session, we're going to debate, dozens of different issues. The fact that we had the opportunity maybe to debate this today, although unfortunately we didn't get that far, but the opportunity we may have spent half an hour or even 2 hours debating this doesn't stop us thinking about the National Health Service, the refugee crisis, or the state of Britain's schools. We are capable of, amongst 650 of us, coming up with more than one thing.
I wish you well when you make that phone call to the RFU. Look, you're a Labour MP. Which national anthem would Jeremy Corbyn like to sing?
Well, I can't imagine he'd have any objection to Jerusalem. I think one of the strengths of it is that it's one of those songs that people from right across the political spectrum all believe speaks to them. So, maybe that'll be his. I'm assured that he wouldn't be calling for the red flag anyway. So, people can rest easy on that one.
Thank you, Toby. Toby Perkins, Labour MP, who has launched his bid in the Commons to ditch God Save the Queen as the anthem sung by England sports teams. It's the debate that's being had in Parliament this afternoon. Let's bring into the conversation Thomas Mace-Archer-Mills, and Thomas is chairman of the British Monarchists Society. Thomas, very good afternoon to you.
Yes, good afternoon to you today.
Welcome to the program. You've been listening in intently. Do you think there is a need for change?
Well, to be honest with you, I need to say it right up front. I love Jerusalem. It is a wonderful song. However, it downgrades the importance of our national anthem, of God Save the Queen. And in England, whichever part of the kingdom you're from, God Save the Queen, she is the personification of the state. And everything great and good is always directed through her for the people. So how great a sports team has done, they've done it for themselves, of course, for crown and country. And the Queen being head of state, of course, it's for all of us.
See, I get that. And look, that very stirring. God save, well, the first couple of verses are okay. After it gets a bit complicated. But the problem is, of course, the Welsh sing Land of Our Fathers, the Scots sing Flower of Scotland, and they're very passionate about that.
Oh, yeah,
but can we really use God Save? And I like God Save the Queen, don't get me wrong. But can we use it? Because they might say, well, no, we're not interested. We've got Land of Our Fathers, thank you very much.
Well, and this is the argument. I mean, when Mr. Perkins said, oh, well, they stand behind their own flags and all of that, well, Andy Murray, he stands behind the Union Jack when it suits him, but then stands behind, the Saltire when it suits him. But at the end of the day, what suits us as England, we are the ones that drive the United Kingdom. England is the central country, is the big country out of all four. So the realm is indicative of what England is. And England is crown, country, God save the Queen. That's the way of it.
Do you not think perhaps we could
have rolling green hills and all of that? It's great,
yeah,
but
it's not that good.
It's not the same.
Can we perhaps come up with a new one? Get Simon Cowell involved for the X Factor thing of got the news. It might work. The BBC could do it. They've lost the voice. We could do it on that Saturday night slot.
I was going to say, if I don't have to hear, some screeching and things, I might consider it. But, look, straight up with you, to be honest, I do not think that we should be downgrading the importance, because a national anthem, if we just look at it for what it is, don't take into account the unifying factors of all four nations, that's not what it's about. God Save the Queen is about the personal relationship between the people of this country and their sovereign, and why we do things. And when we actually accomplish, when we win, the pride that comes from that, it's for none of the other countries, it's for us. It's for England. For God for Crown for England.
Does it distress you that not everyone knows all the words? I mean, that sixth verse is a bit naughty. The Scots won't like it.
Six verses, and that's probably why the Scots really don't like it very much. I don't think
Not
they
surprised.
Like the
Rebellious Scots to crush, God save the King. I mean, they don't like that at all.
Exactly. But to answer the question, I think it's fine. And if we start fiddling around with it, it opens up a drawer that's filled with things that we don't know what's at the bottom of the drawer. So if we start attacking the actual national anthem and say, well, you know what, it's not good enough, what are we saying to the Queen after all her years of service? Sorry, ma'am, you're not good enough.
No,
don't like that, man.
No, I don't like that at all. I don't like it. Thomas, thank you. Thomas Mace-Archer-Mills, Chairman of the British Monarchists Society. Get very young. And you, sir. Thank you. Someone getting very irate by this. Right, there we start. Jack says, Rob, I love the Queen, but I think Land of Hope and Glory would make a better national anthem. David, good afternoon, says, Rob, God Save the Queen is a dirge. Give us Land of Hope and Glory. You're not going to the garden party. Rob, my loyalty is to our country, its history, its values and its future, not a powerless figurehead of state. You are certainly not going to the garden. What's the matter with you? Good Lord. Graham in Bev says, Rob, please let your expert anthem chap know that we wave the Union flags at sports events. It only becomes a Union Jack when flown from the foremost Jack's Day on one of Her Majesty's naval vessels. The naval vessels, the one we haven't got many left of.
Let's go, girls.